All right, we're live here. Hello, everyone. We are here with our FPL Under the Radar Game Week 31 preview. I'm FPL Kante. I'm here with my buddies ZD. How are you doing, ZD?
Yep, doing good. What about you guys?
Doing good, doing good. Long international break, so happy to be back after the break. So
Yeah,
more
I
than
think
2 weeks, right? Yeah,
now it's a non-stop journey probably.
yeah, yeah. Good thing that there is no other international break for the rest of the season. Wrangler, how are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, after a long time, right? And we found ZD after a long time too, so it felt like forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think
it was a good
more
break.
than 1 month probably.
Yeah, so it was a good break, but again, I think it was a very needed break.
Yep.
To kind of you know get energized and just have your last run. So
Mm-hmm.
let's hope for the best.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into it. Uh, we have already one live viewer. I'm not sure who, but we have a viewer here with us. So we'll be talking about the fixtures kind of in the long run. We'll be talking about the template change. So managers are going to go big at the back again soon. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the potential forward and midfield transfers for the next few game weeks and for the rest of the season. And of course, we'll talk about game week 31 captaincy in details, and we'll talk about our teams for game week 31. What are we planning to do transfer wise? Uh, so first of all, as we always do, we look at the fixtures kind of in the long view. This is from Lego Money. We generally use Ben Krelin's fixtures, but this time we're using Lego Manes. It's the same thing essentially. Everyone is kind of trying to predict what the where the doubles are going to be placed after 33, of course. So right now, as we know for sure, as we spoke about last time also briefly, 31 is a double for two teams, Burnley and Everton. So kind of a small double game week. Uh, 32 is a regular week, and then 33 is kind of a mixed match, right? So three teams blank, Aston Villa, Leeds, and Wolves, and seven teams double. So that's what we were not sure about when we spoke last time because the FA Cup games were still going on. But the FA Cup quarterfinal is now fixed, so we kind of know who are the teams going to double in 33. So none of the big teams, of course, blank. So Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, none of them blank. They have a single game week. But seven teams double: Man United, Leicester City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Southampton, Brighton, and Burnley. So Burnley is interesting because they have double in 31, they have double in 33, and potentially there is a good likelihood that they may double in either 34 or 35 too. So they potentially may have three doubles in 5 game weeks. So that will be with Aston Villa. So Aston Villa will also likely double in either 34 or 35. Um, and we should know that schedule. So as per Ben Krelin, we should know that schedule definitely before 33, if not for sure before 34 deadline. Um, and then the other double that's possible before 35 or kind of in 35 is the Chelsea game. So they can potentially double with Everton and Leeds because the Leeds fixture is the blank game from game with 33. So that might be rescheduled to 35 because especially if Chelsea goes to the next round of UCL and FA Cup and everything, so they won't have enough midweeks to reschedule all their games. So 35 could be potentially double for Chelsea. So they will have a double double either in 35 36 or 36 37, either of those. So Chelsea will finish the season very strongly, at least from a fixture standpoint. So that's pretty much it for the long view. Anything to add, Wrangler or ZD?
Yeah, just one thing, the game week 36 again will be a very big double, and all the big teams have likelihood to have double.
Mhm.
So just kind of I think people already know about it, but kind of reiterate that. So
Yeah, yeah. And of course, we are not going to go into too deep anything beyond 35 in today's video. Either before 32 or before 33, we'll kind of talk a little more about cheap strategies for the rest of the season and how we want to plan for the rest of the season, including game week 36 and everything. So we're going to kind of skip that today. All right, let's move on to the next one. So, kind of focusing on the game week 31 fixtures. So, all the big teams have very decent fixtures this week, right? So, Liverpool plays against Watford. That's the early kickoff on Saturday. Chelsea plays Brentford at home. Very good fixture. Man City plays Burnley away, but historically, that has been a very fruitful fixture for Man City. Tottenham plays Newcastle at home. Arsenal plays Crystal Palace. That's away game though. But most of the big teams have decent fixtures. And good thing is that the players that we have been carrying from game week 28, 29, some of them did blank in game week 30, but most of those players who doubled in 28 or 29 has decent fixtures in 31, right? So that's one good thing that we are not worried about. At least fixture was whoever the players we were carrying. So any specific fixtures, particular fixtures that you guys are targeting in game of 31 from a transfer standpoint?
Yeah, I think all of us targeting Man City or Chelsea assets. Man City has like very good fixture against Burnley, and Chelsea has a good run of fixture, and I think most of us don't have. I am eyeing for a Chelsea asset, but it is difficult to predict as well because of the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Manu also has a United has also has a good game, but
United has a good game too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it's very tough to get their asset because of their price point. Like because right now all of us have like Kane and Salah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, Spurs also has a good game in home, like against Newcastle. Yeah, I
Would
mean,
would either of you wildcard in game week 31? ZD, I know you still have your wildcard. Wrangler, you don't. But if you had, would you play wildcard in 31 at all? Would you think about it?
I was thinking of it, but actually I took lots of minus during 26 to 29. So I
Mm-hmm.
think my team is like already in good shape. Like probably if I play wildcard, I would take only 3 4 plays. I think 3 4 or probably 5, not more than that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm thinking like to play it later. If I would not take lots of minus, then I would play wildcard. But as I took like lots of minus, I think my team is like almost
In good shape.
template right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Wrangler, would you play wildcard if you had it?
No, I don't think so because as you said, right? I mean, we have been carrying good players from 28, um, 28, 28, 29, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of transfer, what I can like see is that in this week, one of the popular transfer will be like from Man City side because people already offloaded Man City players because of their fixture in last
Mm-hmm.
few game weeks, right? So one of the popular transfer would be like bringing like any of them Man City players. It could be Cancelo, Laporte, or Foden, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Another one would be like a lot of people probably got rid of Salah because it was blank game week. A lot of people tried to bring like Son or others. So I think people will be thinking to bring Salah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to talk about the big at the back, right? So I guess if Trent is out, then Robertson. People will be thinking about Robertson, right? And Chelsea asset as well as ZD mentioned, right? So it could be Reece James or something like that. So I see that those 3 to 4 fixture are the teams people are going to target in 31. It's gonna go to long run. Okay,
Yep.
so that's my thought, and I think that's how it's gonna be. Like I don't see any other popular transfer here except
Yeah.
Burnley that we're gonna talk. But I mean, I can do that.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention one thing quickly. ZD kind of touched it, the rotation problem, right? The thing is that before game week 32 and before game week 33 are the UCL and the other Europe competitions quarterfinals, right? So five teams are in Europe. So Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and then Leicester and West Ham. So all of these teams, I mean, West Ham, no one is worried about right now, anyways. But some of those teams do double or have good fixtures in or around these games. So there is a very high likelihood of heavy rotation in 31, 32, 33. So that just be wary of it, right? Don't get into like too many players from these teams. Of course, look at the press conferences, look at who are playing the Europe games. 31 is probably the time to be kind of a little bit on the cautious side. I think on one of my tweets on Twitter also I mentioned that don't get into too many attackers, especially say from Liverpool, Man City, or Chelsea. It's easier to predict the defenders, slightly easier, but the attackers are really hard to predict, like who are going to play in the EPL games. All right, so just wanted to mention that. But yeah, so that's basically our game with 31 fixtures. We did not talk about Burnley and Everton. Of course, they are the two teams that are doubling, so not an exciting double at all from an FPL perspective, at least. Uh, but it's an important game from EPL perspective. Both of them are fighting for relegation. I think Burnley right now is at 17th and Everton at 18th, something like that, or vice versa. So it's a very important game for the relegation battle, right? So I think it's going to be a good game. Not much from an FPL perspective, but it could be a decent game to watch. So just wanted to add that. All right, so let's move on. So for the next part, we are going to talk about the transfers that we are planning for this game week and the game weeks in the future for the rest of the season, right? So first of all, we are looking at the clean sheet odds from game week 31 to 35. So this is from APL review, from their modeled numbers, of course, based on the season uh, XG considered and everything else, based on the opponents and everything else. So what we see here essentially is that the big teams, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, they are the most likely to get clean sheets over the next few game weeks anyways, right? So as Wrangler mentioned, we moved away from some of the big at the back, the big defenders, because they were blanking in 30, or say Man City did not have a double between 26 and 29 in that time frame. But we'll all be trying to get back onto the ship again, right? Cancelo, Reese, Trent, and Robbo, a lot of us already have. So that's essentially is going to be the template again, hopefully, right? So that's what we are thinking that would happen, kind of big at the back again. But again, word of caution is that for the other teams, whoever doubles, say like Burnley, they have three doubles within the next 5 game weeks or so. But at least from a defensive stat point, your baseline is the clean sheets, right? Unless you have a significant upside from an attacking perspective for any of these like inferior teams, I would definitely not be transferring them. They would not be high in my transfer priority list. I would be prioritizing the Man City boys, the Chelsea boys, and the Liverpool boys. Of course, there is rotation risk, but given the rotation risk, the upside that they have, I think it supersedes the risk of rotation and everything. Whenever they play, they can easily outscore any of the single double game weakers or who are less rotation prone. So that's one thing that wanted to mention here. Anything that you guys want to add from a defensive perspective?
No, again, right? I mean, basically, in terms of defense, you trust more on the big teams, and that's shows up. And this clean sheet odd is came from their previous record as well, right? And if you see
Mhm.
their XG considered throughout the season, I think all of these three teams is less than one.
They're the best three teams here,
Yes,
essentially.
they are the so basically you have to get players from there. Now, big at the back, as you said, 4 to 5, like could be a template, or some other managers are thinking that three is probably enough. You have three big and two decent. Like if you can have Doherty, Doherty is a very good enabler as well in terms of that,
And a
right?
Newcastle defender, maybe, or something.
Exactly right. And then in the midfield, you can actually spend some money on like Foden, or like Kai Havertz or something like that. That's another school of thought as well, and
Mhm.
that is also good. So there is no right and wrong here. But I mean, again, you have to have at least three good defenders from the big team. There is kind of, I think, no way you can skip that. So
Absolutely. So in the next slide, we are going to focus on these teams, right? The best teams in the league, the best teams from a defensive perspective. Uh, these are the five teams on the top of the table right now, right? Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal. Arsenal and Tottenham in that order. So from a XGC perspective, as Wrangler you were saying, so they have been very good throughout the season. All of these five teams, Arsenal and Tottenham did not start the season maybe that well, but over the season they have improved. City, Pool, and Chelsea have been good all through, right? So City has an XGC of 0.65. So they basically concede like 3 goals every 5 matches or something like that, right? So that's how rarely they concede. Chelsea and Pool are also pretty good, pretty decent, under 1 xgc. Tottenham and Arsenal are just above 1 xgc. So what we want to show from here, though, is basically the upside that we are talking about, right? So when you are transferring in a defender, of course, there are not a whole lot of game weeks to go, like for most of this team, 9 or 10 games at most. You want to get in the players who have significant upside, right? We are not talking about like a season keeper anymore. We are not talking about Rudiger to transfer him in and keep for the season, right? So if I'm talking about, say, a Rudiger versus a James, so James Reese's numbers are so good, like 0.45 XGI involvement per 90 minutes is better than some of the midfielders who are priced like probably 2 million higher than him. And he is in the same bracket as Trent. We all know how good Trent is. So they are kind of in the top tier of the defenders, right? And see how significant the difference is with Rudiger or a Van Dijk or a Thiago Silva. They probably are more nailed, but the upside is so big. They can easily, even if they miss one match or even if they are rotated once in a while, they can easily outscore these guys over the rest of the few game weeks. And of course, Cancelo, Robertson, they have been also very good through the season. Robertson has significantly improved over the last 10, 12 game weeks. Uh, the Tottenham boys are also pretty good. Reguilon is a little bit of minute concern, of course. Once Sessegnon is back, I think he would get heavily rotated, even though Tottenham is not anymore in any other competitions. But I think Sessegnon would be the first priority, but Reguilon, I mean, almost like 50-50 probably. Doherty has been kind of a revelation in the recent times. So he has been doing pretty good and looks like that he is the first choice for Conte at the right back. But again, Emerson may play one match here and there. But again, Doherty's upside is pretty huge too. Whenever he plays, even if he plays 7 out of 9 matches or starts 7 out of 9 matches that Tottenham has left, I think he still can outscore a lot of the other defenders. So he also has a pretty significant upside at a pretty good price also. He is only 4.7 million, right? So a very,
4.8.
yeah, 4.8 million. So very decent price. So that's basically what we're talking about. So when we're talking about big at the back, we are not just talking about the defenders from the big teams. We are talking about the guys who have significant upside from an attacking perspective as well. The Cancelos, the Robertsons, the Trents, and the Gems, or maybe a Doherty, as Wrangler mentioned, as a fourth or fifth defender, right? So that's what we're talking about, right? And that's where, as Wrangler mentioned, that's where our transfer should be this week and the weeks leading up to double game week 33 or double game week 36. That's what we are going to go get to. Anything that you guys want to add here?
I want to again just, I mean, I mentioned you guys before, like about Reece James. Just want to re-emphasize, whenever he's on the pitch, he's just like so explosive. I was actually looking at his like points today. Like he totally had 109 points, and out of 109 points, he actually had 104 points, like from 12 games where he played more than 60 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can see like it's on average like 9 points per game. It's huge, and only Salah had better than that. Per 90. I mean, whenever
Yep.
we think about that, so his like upside is huge, and it's very difficult to ignore him. Yeah, he has some minute risk, but even if he plays, 1 out of 2 games, I mean, he can get 18 points all, as you know, right? And Rudiger or others, it will take like 3 to 4 games to match this up. So he's
Okay.
that explosive. So,
Okay. Let's
yeah.
let's have a quick discussion here. So since Trent is injured or possibly injured, if you guys think of transferring him out, who would be your first priority in place of Trent? ZD?
Kind of 50 actually, Cancelo or James. I think for nailness purpose, or given James is a little bit injury prone,
Hmm.
Cancelo. If as I don't have Cancelo, I'm saying that I would prefer little bit Cancelo, but obviously for explosiveness, James has huge upside as well. So I mean, both of these guys, they are very
Okay.
good, right?
Makes sense.
So
Makes
James
sense.
or Cancelo, but for me, I think as I don't have Cancelo or any Man City asset,
Priority Cancelo. Yeah.
priority is little bit Cancelo, and then probably James, because of little bit injury concern, minute
Hmm.
concern, and also like Real Madrid game, like all things together.
Yep.
What
Randall?
about Robertson?
Yeah, excuse me. Robertson, yeah, I was thinking about him as well, but problem is I already have Van Dijk, and they are going to face Man City in 32. So I don't. I mean, it's like only taking for one game. But
Yeah.
if you take James, I mean, they will face Southampton in 32 as well. So if James is fit and he's going to play, that is huge.
Hmm.
But I don't have anyone from Man City. That's why I was thinking of Cancelo. But yeah, I like Robertson as well.
So one thing I just want to kind of add here again, it's like EO. I mean, as you guys know, and I think Kante also is you are kind of like me that we value EO a lot. Okay. By the way,
Hmm.
Robertson's ownership is pretty high right now. It's more than 30%. It's more than Cancelo and James now. Okay.
In top
So
100K, you mean?
yes, top 10K actually.
Or top
Okay.
10K?
Yes. So if you don't have Trent, I mean, say, and I mean, if you want to find a replacement of Trent, your perspective, Robertson is pretty high,
Hmm.
and then Cancelo, who is like 15% or so, and then Reece James is like 5%. They are going to increase over 1 or 2 weeks, but kind of give you a heads up, that Robertson's EO is pretty high. So if you want to find a replacement of Trent, out of these three, one of them, I would probably prefer Robertson first. But again, it depends how you play the game.
Yeah, the only thing is that, as Zidane mentioned, Pool has City in 32 and then Manu in 33. So that's probably going to discourage a lot of people bringing in a Pool defender. If you already have Trent and Robertson, that's fine. You just play them, right? But it's kind of doesn't sound right bringing one of them in, right? Just
I
sounds
think
kind of a negative transfer.
those who does not have Van Dijk, they already have Cancelo or James, right? So it will be easier to pick them Robertson as a
One
replacement
of
of
them, yeah.
TA.
Hmm.
Like if I did not have Van Dijk, I would obviously take Robertson any
On
day,
Robertson. Yep.
because 30 gaming 31 against Watford home game, it's perfect. Good, good. I mean,
Hmm.
it's almost better like as Cancelo, so or
True.
better than, as you mentioned, his EU is higher as well. So I would prefer Robertson as well. But as I have already Van Dijk, that's why I'm kind of like, okay, I already have one, at least one cover, right?
Hmm.
So that's how I'm thinking, like probably taking Cancelo. But yeah, Robertson, I think he's returning in almost every game from game week 18. So he's a great option as well.
Okay, let's move on, guys. Okay, we'll talk about when we talk about our teams. We'll talk about the defenders again. Um, all right. So next, we're talking about the midfielders, especially the mid-priced midfielders. Of course, in the sub 5.5 category, the Arsenal boys are far best than anyone else. The likes of Martinelli and Odegaard. When we are talking about 5.5 and up, all the way up to 9.5, so kind of a non-premium category. So there are not too many options, right? Of course, over the season, a lot of people in this price range have done well. Smith Rowe has done well. Gallagher has had some very good sessions. Uh, Ziyech has done well for Chelsea before he was injured. Zaha has done well. So yeah, I mean there have been people in this range who has done well, but given the fixtures, given the upcoming fixtures, and given at the stage of the season where we are, there are not too many options necessarily, right? Like the likes of Jota and Mahrez, they have been very good over the season. They are basically producing the same numbers as the premiums at a much lower price. But are we confident to go to a Jota anymore, or even a Mahrez given their UCL fixtures? Not likely, right? Because uh, I don't think Jota plays maybe like even 50% of the minutes for the rest of the season, right? His minutes are not just as secured anymore. Firmino is fit. Luis Diaz is doing very well. It's very hard to go to a Jota. His numbers are still very good, very hard to go there. So the likes of the midfielders that mostly people would be kind of interested in is of course Saka, who has been doing very well. Whoever does not have Saka, I think in this price bracket, he would probably be the most desirable midfielder. I think all three of us do have him. We have had him for a few weeks now. But whoever doesn't have him, I think for me, he should be the highest priority. He is 100% nailed. He plays pretty much 80 minutes every game. He's very involved in whenever Arsenal is attacking, and Arsenal is doing good as a team, right? So I think Saka is probably the highest priority in this price range. And then when we move out of these, like whatever, as we are talking before, so we all moved out from the City assets and the Chelsea assets because they were blanking in 30 and so on. Uh, the next priorities would be potentially the City meets and the Chelsea meets, right? So the likes of Havertz and Mount and the likes of Foden, right? In that price bracket, I'm pretty sure no one is going to go to a Grealish. His numbers are good, but his outcome has been very poor throughout the season. So basically, those three guys, right? Havertz, Mount, and Foden after Saka. And whoever has Rafinha, I think 31, 32 are still good fixtures for him. But after that, he is pretty much a sell. And Coutinho, after 33 is a blank for Aston Villa. But from 34 onwards, pretty much through the rest of the season, Coutinho's fixtures are also very good. So those are pretty much the guys that we are going to target. Even Kulusevski, I think he already delivered at his max, right? He is not a buy anymore. If you have him, you keep him, you play him. But if you don't, I don't think Kulusevski is a necessary buy or essential buy at this point of time, right? Because they don't double until 36, and even their 36 double is not the easiest, right? So Kulusevski is definitely not a buy anymore. So for me, I think it would be Saka, Foden, Havertz, Mount, Coutinho in that order. If I list my five top midfielders, what about you guys?
We have some comments uh, regarding Liverpool. This Jota, I think it's to
Yeah, I
him.
think it's Ehsan Bhai is
Asan
commenting. Yeah,
Bhai, yeah.
yeah. LFC is playing 7 games in 22 days. Robo got alternative in the squad for sure. Yeah, very possible. Simikas is a very good deputy for that. Whenever he has played this season, he has done very well. I still think Robertson would play most of the minutes, but yes, 1 or 2 games definitely Simikas gets his chances. Absolutely. Um, Jota is the most informed player. Um,
That's true, but the problem is rotation, right?
yeah,
I mean, I think this game he's going to start probably
yeah.
for one game, but it's very hard to
Yeah,
carry.
I think I was telling
In
Wrangler you right. Like if we could go to, I think Mane would be the third priority, third asset that we would go to from a Liverpool perspective after Salah and Trent, right? In a ideal world, but Mane is very expensive, right? It's hard to go to a Mane,
yeah,
extend to a Mane. He has been in super form, right? He has been doing better than everyone else, pretty much in the whole league. But we just cannot extend to Mane. But yes, I agree. After Mane, probably Jota. He's a big minute risk. I think Jota would be prioritized to play in the UCL games. Diaz plays most of the uh, PL games. I think so. And then Firmino also plays a few minutes. What do you think, Wrangler? What would be your priority from a midfield perspective?
So yeah, I mean, basically, Jota is, I mean, good, right? He has been really good. We have been always talking about Jota, right? I mean, he always mentioned that Jota will be like, he's performing like a premium, right? And his price will be changed definitely in next season. But the thing is, like, if you still have him, I don't know if you have him, but if you still have him, probably a hold, but he's not a buy material now, because of this minute risk. There are a lot of other options. Okay. So for me, yeah, definitely Saka, here. And I really prefer Foden over Kai Havertz.
Yeah,
That's personal
okay.
preference.
Foden was my second choice also after
Yeah.
Saka.
So I really prefer Foden over Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is really good, but I don't know. I mean, Chelsea's like they are more focused on like UCL, right?
Hmm.
So I'm kind of confused, or I'm not sure about his minutes. So we have to see. Okay. So
Yeah, I
and
think right before we started, ZD and I was saying that easily Lukaku can play the Brentford game, right? There is
yeah,
a very high likelihood of that happening. So, yeah.
right. Kulusevski is a hold. Okay. Again, not buy right now, not sell right now. I
Hmm.
prefer Mount over Kai, by the way, just because of his nailiness. Okay.
Hmm.
And Coutinho again after 33. So that's my preference. Like again, I would prefer Saka first, and then Foden, Kulusevski, Mount, and maybe I don't know.
I know you were talking about Gallagher also, like Crystal Palace had good fixtures
That's in
after
36. Yeah, in
35.
36.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after 31st, so for the last few game weeks. But yeah, so that's
Sancho is
pretty
a
much
good
our
shout
options.
here, but his price point is kind of a weird one, right? I mean, if you want to dead end your team in 33, then he could be a good differential, because Man United fixture is good,
Mhm.
but his price point is a very weird one, and it's very difficult to accommodate him with others. So, but he's a good shot.
Yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned before, like if you are, or as you just said, so if we are dead ending or free hitting in 33, both Madison and Sancho also could be good options. So Madison's minutes is again a little bit of risk, but we'll know by then, like probably like how Leicester is doing in the European competition. If they are out, probably Madison will have more minutes in Premier League. But they Sancho and Madison both are kind of more options if you are dead ending or free hitting in 33 only, not outside that. Alrighty. Okay. ZD, you wanted to add anything?
No, I think these guys are the target. I was thinking of Havertz actually before international break, or like start of the international break,
Yeah.
but after he played, I think both games during the break, and
Mhm.
even they are going to play Real Madrid. It's very tough to go there. I agree with Wrangler. Mount is more nailed actually, and he's actually delivering as well. So I would go Mount rather than Havers right now.
Yeah, it's just
Makes
they are
sense.
not priority transfer right now. Okay,
Yeah,
just, you see a little bit more, and then after 33, you decide.
Yeah.
yeah, true.
All right. So let's move on to the forwards. So this is the fun part, right? So I was telling you guys. So when I started doing this, my red avert zone was a much smaller one. Then I kept looking at these names, and then just none of them made sense to me. So right now it's a whole red box, a big red box, and we could even extend it as we were saying, like a Jesus or a Iheanacho or a Antonio or a Tony or even a Lacazette. Are we going to transfer any of them in? Probably not, right? So it's a very uh, narrow box. So either we go big to Kane or Ronaldo, or we go to like literally like fodders, right? So like Geltard or maybe like a Cucho up here, right? So that's basically it, right? So not too many options. I don't know like if Lukaku maybe does like all of a sudden something in the league, but again his price point, given that he's probably not in penalties and everything, who is going to buy Lukaku, right? So it's very hard, and there are not too many options. So a lot of us are on Kane. If you are not, you probably should. But we are talking about Ronaldo as well. That for the next few game weeks, like from 31 to 33, Ronaldo probably supersedes Ken by like a little bit, like slightly. Um, Other than that, there are barely any options, right? I know this week Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are doubling. Calvert-Lewin's fitness is questionable. Richarlison hasn't been that great in the Premier League. I know he scored like 3 goals in the international break. But I know ZD, you have Richarlison, so I hope that he does something in the double game week. But that's all we can do, hope. Uh, but yeah, that's about it, right? So what do you guys think? And of course, we'll talk about the guy for the main guy for this game week, Weghorst, next. But other than that, what do you think of the strikers?
Yeah, the data shows, right? I mean, Kane is the one. I wish, I mean, Ronaldo's fixture is so good. I mean, as we talked about, like Man United fixture, right? And he's a good captaincy shout, by the way, in 32 especially, and 33 as well, right? But
Hmm.
it's just so difficult to, like, have these two premiums. You have to, sacrifice one of them. We
Hmm.
really hope and wish Calvert Lewin would be at his peak form, or what he has been, right? And
Hmm.
I really hope that really it's good for the FPL, and it's good for the league, good for the Everton as well, right? And like this Everton team, yeah, they are actually in the like relegation battle, right? While in last season, even like they were fighting for top six at the very beginning when Ancelotti was there, right? It's almost the similar team. So I think Calvert Lewis, like DCL will be a very key player, and I really hope he comes back.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people will be actually probably jumping into him if
Hmm.
he comes back. So otherwise, yeah, I don't see any other
Yeah, I mean, if DCL was fit, I think no one would probably even be thinking about Weghorst. Everyone would be jumping onto DCL right at this moment, right now, right? So it's just unfortunate with his uh, fitness situation. I don't think he plays both matches, or he starts both matches at least, given his fitness. But yeah, he could be. His numbers are very good also over the season. Whenever he has played, he has looked good. He has looked decent. Maria, anything to add, ZD?
Yeah, so I bought Rika on 29th, hoping that he might get some assist here, or like I was not hoping goal, probably
Hmm.
some assist here and there. But he played, I think, 170 minutes. He gave me 3 points, where Calvert Lewin played 20 minutes and he gave like 4 points. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if Calvert Lewin he becomes regular, I think he could be an option. But Richardson, I'm holding for this week, but I'm not hoping anything actually.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
both their games are away games, right? Throughout
Yeah,
the season,
away
they have
games
been
as
very
well.
poor in away, especially under Lampard. They have been super poor in away games. I think I was seeing they have considered like 14 goals in 4 matches in 4 away games. So, yeah, it's very bleak. It's a
But
double game week, but it's very bleak for
yeah,
them.
but if you think, I mean, at some point Everton needs to actually come back, right? Because I don't see they are relegating. If they come back, then Calvert Lewin, Richardson, and most probably Gordon. These are the guys because he's in everything. Gordon is
True,
in everything.
true.
So these guys are might play a big role. So just a hope.
Yeah, and
So
the thing is that the fight is essentially between these two teams, right?
yeah,
Norwich and Watford are pretty much down.
yeah,
Well, not
pretty much done.
mathematically, they still have a chance, but they're probably going to be relegated. So the third relegation place is between Burnley and Everton, right? So it's
Yeah,
a that's why I was saying that it's a very important game this week. Maybe not from an FPL, also from FPL perspective, maybe. But yeah, it's a very important game. But yeah, you are absolutely right. Either it's about like who turns up, whether it's
yeah.
Everton who turns up or whether it's Burnley who turns up. So, but it's going to be a season decider, possibly, at least partially. All right. Anything else to add, guys, on this one?
No, let's move on.
Let's go on to the next one. So, as I was saying, so the man of the hour, Wout Weghorst, right? So he is probably going to be the most bought player this game week. He has a double. And then, as we were talking about him before, he has a double in 33 and potentially a double in 34. So, one thing about Burnley's fixtures is that outside the doubles also it's very decent, right? And of course they are fighting for relegation, and we saw it last season too, under Sean Dyche. He's that kind of manager, right? So doesn't matter however they have played over the season, the last few games they really like tighten it up at the back, score one goal here and there. So they know how to kind of overcome this kind of situation, right? They have come through this in the past, under the same coach. So I do expect them to turn up. Uh, I think actually more than Everton, I do expect Burnley to turn up. And I'm not saying again that Burnley will all of a sudden be scoring like 2-3 goals every game, or Weghorst will be like hitting hat tricks and braces every game, something like that. But I do expect them to improve. I do expect them to get better, and especially given the fixtures, right? So say for example this game against Man City home, let's take that away. But then next they have Everton and Norwich in 31 and 32. 33 is a decent double. West Ham and Southampton. West Ham's defense has been declining in the recent times. Southampton has been pretty poor defensively. Wolves has been significantly declining in the recent times, so that's not a bad game, especially at home. Aston Villa, we are earmarking it for game week 34, but that double could be in 35 also. So that's a pretty decent double too. Either way, either it's a Wolves Aston Villa or Aston Villa Watford double. Again, pretty decent double. And then Aston Villa at home in 36. And the end of the season kind of gets harder. Probably Tottenham and Newcastle, both pretty decent defenses. But from 31 to 36, and probably after 36, we won't be even thinking about Weghorst anymore, after 35, pretty much. Anyways, but up to that point, very decent fixtures, right? And one thing that the above average FPL guys pointed out, that Chris Wood, during this time of the last season, he really turned up. His underlying numbers were, of course, better than what Weghorst is showing as of today. But the last 11 games, Burnley has 11 games to play, right? So that started from Arsenal last season. So during this time frame, in the 7 or 8 games, he produced an XGI of at around 1, at least in 5 games, and he was really looking good, right? And again, I'm not saying that Weghorst would produce the same numbers as Chris Wood, but it just kind of shows that what Burnley is, right? Especially in this kind of situation, how they can turn it back. So I do expect them to improve. Again, I'm not saying that Weghorst would be like scoring braces every game, but he could easily score 2 or 3 goals in the next 6 game weeks. And given like the previous chart that we were showing, how bleak the other forwards are, what can be worse than this, right? That's basically our hope. And I know Wrangler and we have Jimenez, ZD, we have Richarlison for this game week, but you may want to move
Watkins.
on from and Watkins, so you may want to move on from them. Some people still have Dennis, some people still have Edward, right? So a lot of other forwards that you want to move on from. So what can be the worst, really, right? I know a lot of people have a bad memory from game week 27 when we free hitted and captained Weghorst, and he really didn't do anything. So we have bad memories from there, but you have to also look forward, right? Like, is there a better option in this price range in the forward line that you can go to? So that's all we are saying, right? So not necessarily he's the best person to go to, but can it be any worse, right? So anything to add to this, Wrangler?
So yeah, I mean, as you also tweeted today, right? I mean, is it today or yesterday? I mean, I think yesterday.
Today. Yeah.
So his like overall statistics actually is not bad, right? I mean, basically, whenever he came to Burnley, it's just Burnley's playing style is like that his
Hmm.
number doesn't look good. However, as you said, right? I mean, this is the time where Burnley actually turn up, and they actually usually good. And the fixture they have, I mean, like say Everton, Norwich, right? Those could be like open game. Who knows? Because both those are the teams who are, uh,
Relegation
you know,
fighters. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I believe there'll be. I mean, I don't think Burnley is gonna kind of sit down there. I mean, I'm hoping there should be some,
Yeah,
some.
those are the games that they want to win if they want to stay in the league.
Yes, and like Southampton, Wolves, those are the home games, right? So they will definitely try to, like utilize those, right? Because those are the like moments they need to win, and if they want to really avoid the relegation. So I think, as
Mhm.
you said, right, at this price point, I mean, in any case, offense, we don't have much of options. So I mean, in if they play 8 games in 5 game weeks, right? I mean, I think I mean,
Yeah,
it,
that's
it's a good option. It's a good
16
option.
appearance points, right? If you
Yeah,
take away
even
everything
if this
else.
his stats is not in his favor, but I mean, it's not a propaganda. But again, I think it's a good shot.
Yeah, if I can go quickly back to this, so he has an XGI of like zero point 0.3. So he is supposed to give a return, one
Every
return
four
every
games.
3 games, and
Hmm.
that's what he has done. So he has had 1 goal and 2 assists in 9 games. So exactly what he has done, right? So his underlying kind of matches that. So yeah, I don't think we are expecting anything more than that necessarily. If he does, excellent. But even if he does that, I think it's still numerically still better than a lot of the other forwards, just because the sheer number of sheer volume of games Burnley has to play between 31 to 35, right? So yeah, so that's basically
And also,
what.
like they actually played against top teams, by the way. So there was
Yeah,
also one reason, right, that his
yeah,
numbers were not good because they were playing against top teams. But
yeah. At
now
least
they
five
are
or
playing.
six of the teams were kind of top half of the table. Yeah.
Yes. So now at least their fixture looks good. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, let's hope for
Hmm.
the best. So,
Yep. All right. So again, I mean, Weghorst is not necessarily a priority transfer in. Only go to him if you have an issue with your forward line, like a Jimenez or an Edward or a Dennis or something like that. So that's only when you think of him. We are thinking of him because we have a Jimenez size problem, or ZD has a Watkins size problem, right? So that's why we're even thinking about him. He, despite all this, he's still not a priority transfer, right? Like the other big at the back guys that we spoke about, they can easily outscore him in just 3 games easily, right? So still, I think they are the priority transfers. If you have an issue with your forward line, that's when only you think about Weghorst. All right, so let's go to our captaincy discussion for this week. Wrangler, you want to start the discussion?
yeah. So I guess there are we put five names here, but I mean in terms of really like options, I think Kane and Salah. Those are the probably best two options because of the fixture. You know, all the fixtures look good for other players as well. But Salah is playing against Watford. I think last time it was 5-0, right? Was it? And he had like 2 to 3 goals, something like that. So
Yeah, I think
if,
Firmino scored a hat trick this season when they played against Watford. It was a
okay,
5-0, but Firmino scored a hat trick. Yeah.
I see. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I think this is a good fixture, and I mean Salah's number. I mean, you can see, right? It's above one, like XGI.
Mhm.
Right? So
And he has been
yeah,
underperforming.
yes,
Yes.
and I mean it's true that he has not been like having goal from open play since the Norwich game, which happened in 26, right? Is it 26? I think
Yeah,
last time.
26. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, right? I mean, I think going against him is going to be difficult. If you want to go against him, then Kane is another option who is playing against. I think it should be Newcastle home. I think
Home.
it
Yeah,
is,
should be
yeah,
Newcastle home.
yeah,
Yeah.
it should be home. And again, he's in red hot form, and I mean, he has that capability. So if you want to have something differential in mind, because people are thinking also if whether Salah is going to play or not, right?
Mhm.
Because he's coming from the international duty and they actually he lost, right? So that was kind of a shock. So I personally think he's gonna play, but again it's a like early kickoff, right? We should definitely get some information.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Salah is the standard option, and Kane can be there as well if Salah doesn't. I mean, if there is any news, KDB is a differential, and Burnley is, as we discussed, right? Burnley is a very good fixture for Man City, usually, right?
Mhm.
So, and KDB is probably the more nailed player in City. You could go Mahrez, who is really who has been really doing good against Burnley, but again, his minutes are in risk, right? And then Cristiano Ronaldo, Leicester City actually very good. Like if you see XGC, it's 1.91, like almost two, right?
Mhm.
So Man United is not doing really very good as well. But again, I mean their numbers are good, by the way. I mean they're
Their
not getting goals.
underlying is very good. Yeah.
Their underlying is pretty good, right? And
Mhm.
Ronaldo, his number is pretty good too. It's 0.7 XGI, right? So he's definitely good captaincy shout, and he will be also. We'll talk more in 32 and 33. And again, Weghorst, kind of like memorable, honorable mention
Mhm.
that he has double game weeks. So if anyone wants to have something different, definitely. But I think this is one of the weeks where like there is double game week, but people will be captaining more in single game weeks because you trust more.
Yep.
Anything to add
Absolutely.
here? So
No, I think you covered it well. I just don't see past Salah unless, as you said, we know something ahead of the deadline. I know a lot of people have superstition against the early kickoff, but it's just a superstition, right? I think Salah against Watford is too hard to ignore. Of course, if Trent doesn't play, the creativity in the team reduces, significantly reduces. But still, and Liverpool is just Liverpool, right? So against
Yeah.
Watford, I just don't see past Salah.
I think for only Salah that early kickoff does not work.
Yeah, we can
But
ignore
he
that rule.
actually mentioned couple of name other like Son could be here. Like we have
Mm.
Kane, but a lot of other people don't have Kane. They have Son as if they want to have think couple of like, different other options. Son,
Mhm.
Cancelo can be there
Even
too.
Cancelo, yeah,
Yeah, and Robertson, I know like from the country we have been talking right, like Magnus.
Magnus.
He
Yes.
captained Robertson in the double game week, right? So, was it
Mhm.
double game week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
double. Yeah,
Yeah, in
So
game week 29.
yeah, so
29.
you can think of that too, but I think Salah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move
The
on.
one thing about Kane's fixture is that Newcastle. We are talking about it just before the video, right? So I think people are a little over evaluating Newcastle's defense. They have been well, they have done well, but if you look at their fixtures, they have had a pretty easy run, other than one or two games here and there. Uh, since they bought the new defenders after the winter transfer window, they have had a very good run of fixtures, actually, right? So I think people are over evaluating the defense a little too much. They're good. I'm not saying that they have not improved. They have improved, but I think Tottenham can still do very good against Newcastle and at home, right? So it's a
Yeah,
very good
and
fixture.
Spurs have lots of motivation to play as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
They are fighting for the fourth place, the
yeah.
UCL place. So yeah. All
And
right.
also one thing to mention, I think Kane is giving um, double digits like for 5 weeks, like from 26. He's giving five. Yeah, he's giving double digits from there,
Mhm.
like 15 points, 11 points. In 28, I think that only that week it is 8 point, but then again
Yeah.
14 point, 13 point. He's in great form, so that's also
Yeah,
another thing.
his big chance involvement is insane, right? We were talking
Yeah,
about it last week also, Wrangler, right? Like almost two big chance involvement every game. So that's just insane numbers, and he has been doing that for a long time, for the last 10 games, right? So he is a decent shout. If we hear anything about Salah, I think I'm going to go to Kane
yeah. I
without
mean,
any doubt.
it's hard to look past Salah, but if Salah is not starting something like that, then probably Kane is definitely option.
Yeah, I would not ignore him because he's playing against Newcastle. Newcastle again are good, but I think people are over evaluating their defense a little too much. But anyways, anything to add else to add, Wrangler, or is it
No, let's move
we
on
move on?
with our team.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the last section or team selection. So this is my team. For the time being, I have not made any transfers yet. Uh, so over the last 2 weeks, not a whole lot changed from a price standpoint there either. A little bit here and there, but not a whole has changed. I did not have the motivation to make any early transfers, anyways. Last week, game week 30, of course, a lot of people free hitted, and some of our regular players did not play. Ramsdale and Rafinha and so on. So my rank dropped just outside 100K. I was at 94K, so now I'm at 103K. Not too unhappy. Could have been better, but not too unhappy with that. Good place to be in for the last 8 games, game weeks. So right now my team reads Ramsdale, Gabriel, Van Dijk, Doherty, Salah, captain, Rafinha, Saka, Kulsevski, Jimenez, Broha, and Ken. Of course, Jimenez is going to be transferred out for sure, and most likely Weghorst is going to come into his place. I have a goalkeeper problem as well. Both Ramsdale and Dubravka are now marked, but I think Dubravka should be okay. I don't think it's a great fixture against Tottenham, but if I do hear something about Ramsdale, I might go to Ramsdale to Pope because again just because of the number of games that Pope has in the next 5 game weeks. I think it will probably pay off if I go Ramsdale to Pope, and then in 36 if I do free hit, then I can get back a double game week keeper anyways. So I think that buys me a lot more game weeks if I go from Ramsdale to Pope, but I'm not doing that if I hear that either of them are okay, most likely, or at least if any positive news about Ramsdale. I'm not doing that. I might do that if I hear that Ramsdale is surely out. And then the other transfer that I'm thinking about is Digne to Cancelo. So that's basically my first option: Digne, Jimenez, and Ramsdale to Cancelo, Weghorst, and Pope for a -4. So I have two free transfers. The other thing that just before we started the video, we were talking, and these I don't dislike too much either, right? So as we were saying, like the big upside of Reece James whenever he plays, so I might just do this as well. I don't think, at least for this game week, I'll have a significant upside from a goalkeeper transfer. Anyways, in the long term, I'll probably, or in the midterm, I'll probably do. But for this game week, there might be better upside going from Gabriel to Reece. I know Gabriel has a double game week in 33, but I'm still contemplating to do that. So there is likelihood that I might do that. Might just do that. Mm, the reason that I don't like it is that Gabriel has a good fixture this game with Crystal Palace. They're pretty vulnerable against corner kicks and set pieces, so there is a good chance that he gets a return. And then game week 32, they have Brighton home, if I'm not wrong, so that's a decent clean sheet option. And then 33, the double, right? So it's not an easy decision. I know with Reece upside and everything that we discussed, but it's not as straightforward a decision for me. But again, I'm talking about both the -4 options, but I may just end up not taking a hit, just doing Dinia and Jimenez to Ramsdale and Cancelo. So let's talk about your teams also, and then we'll talk about as a whole what we want to do. Okay, so let's first go through your teams. Wrangler, you want to talk about your team?
Yeah, so I kind of had a similar situation like you in last week. So I, Ramsdale and Rafinha didn't show up, and Jimenez red cards, which kind of, affected my rank. So I was within top 10K. So I was in 9.8 or so, and then I dropped to 12K, which is all right. I mean, again, it could have been worse, but at least, like Kane captaincy and Saka point there. So it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, my team, you see like a lot of flags here, right? Kind of like you. So Ramsdale is a flag here. I have Robertson. Trent is a flag. I don't think he's gonna play. Doherty, and then Saka, Kulusevski, Rafinha, Salah is gonna be my captain. Broha is in the team in the main 11, but I don't think I'm gonna play him as main 11. And then I have Jimenez and Kane. So my transfer would be, I think, I'm hoping Dubravka is gonna be fit, or he's gonna play. And
Mm-hmm.
if he plays, I don't think I'm gonna change any goalie. That's my plan, at least, because he's doubling in 33, and I will see how Ramsdale, his situation becomes. So my initial thought right now is that do size from size to Jimenez to Cancelo plus Weghorst. I have two free transfer, so I don't need any hit. I'm really scared. Well, not scared, but the upside for regions, right? The same thing. That it would be good to have him.
Mm-hmm.
So if Trent is like confirmed out in 31, then I might think of to bring Reece James in place of Trent with a
Mm-hmm.
hit. But again, I also want Trent up like from 34. So I have to kind of think about it and find out the best way. But at least, I think I'm gonna do size plus Jimenez to cancel it off Quakers. That's kind of a done deal, I would say, unless there is anything happens.
Okay. All right, ZD, let's talk about your team first, and then we'll have some general discussion about teams.
Yeah, so I had similar situation. Ramsdale and Rapina did not play. It's actually gray. It's like I was 118k and still 118k. So like some 200 rank change. So that's no,
Yeah.
but it's okay. Um, but although I thought like I will gain something because I had 10 players playing, but I think everyone is clicked different gimmick. So um, for me, I still have my wild card free bench boost. So um, before I was thinking actually to get rid of Watkins, of course, and then get uh, Weghorst, and probably Cody to Stones or Laporte. So although they have Liverpool on 32, but I was thinking of gaining something from this week. But again, after talking to you guys, there is another option like Watkins, Cody, Gabriel to Gelhard, um, Cancelo, James. With -4, I can get Cancelo, James, both of them. So
Mhm.
that could be an option as well. Or I can just get Cancelo like from Watkins and Cody if I take Killer, because in my 11 I already have Doherty, Gabriel, Van Dijk, and then Rafinha, Saka, Kulsevski, Salah, Rika, and King.
Mhm.
So if I transfer in like James and Cancelo, both of them, then probably I need to get rid of Gabriel. I mean, so I don't know, but seems like I am. It depends. Like if T is out, I might take him out as well. Like I might do Cancelo and Gabriel to James,
Yeah.
because with two free hit, I think sorry, two FT, it might worth the risk. That's the thought so far.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely like either the first or the second options. The third one again is kind of first of all you have to bench someone else already from your team if you take Laporte or Stones in,
Yeah, I have
and
to
then
bench
Weghorst.
Gabriel, I guess, in that case,
Yeah,
or like Duarte.
yeah, yeah. So and as I mentioned before, also Weghorst is not priority. I think Cancelo is definitely more of a priority transfer for me, at least over Weghorst. Um, but yeah, I think for you, I like one or two, and you are free hitting in 33 also, right?
Yeah,
So if you absolutely want Weghorst for 33, you can get him in. Yeah, and then you are wildcarding in 34 too, so you don't necessarily have to worry about your bench like a Gelhardt. So it's just
mm-hmm.
for 31, 32. So yeah, I definitely like either of one or two for your team. What do you think,
Yeah,
Wrangler?
Yeah, so I mean, like I mean, I had the vote on the first one,
Mm-hmm.
but I actually also like the trend out, since you are feeding in 33 and 34, you are
mm-hmm.
wild carding, and I think trend. I mean, I know you're gonna like lose point 0.4, point 0.5, but as we are discussing, right, trend is gonna probably lose one more like value, like point 0.1 million. I think if it's okay, if you think like without a hit, if you can manage both cancel and risk by
Mm-hmm.
selling trend, I think it's okay, because in 32 he's playing against Man City, and I don't think it's gonna be very good game for him anyways. And 33 you're free hitting, and then wild carding, you can bring him back. So I think it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right. And that's another way to
yeah,
think about it.
yeah. I
Keeping
think having Cancelo James with two free transfer, that will be like, I mean, that is better option. Given if say James is benched, I won't lose much,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and yeah,
Then
Yeah,
so.
as we were just saying, you just lose a little bit of value, right? Like point 0.3 or
Mhm,
point 0.4. So
mhm.
we will probably have to get like a cheaper defender when you wildcard. That's about it, right? Your
Yeah,
rest of the team is not going to change. So
yeah,
yeah, that's I don't dislike
make
that either.
make sure you're like just plan account, because you have to play bench boost in 36. So make sure like if you transfer out friend and then if you bring him back, you need to make sure your bench is good, right? Because your bench is
Yeah.
still
yeah,
36.
Yeah,
So
put it in a planner or something. See if you're happy with your bench when you remove Trent with that team value and everything. Definitely, at least do that.
yeah. The problem is if I get rid of Trent, probably I would like Robertson more, but I don't know.
I
I
don't think
mean,
you need it.
the ideal is probably TA Robertson, right,
You
rather
have
than
Van
Van
Dijk,
Dijk.
you don't need that.
Especially given your chip strategy, I don't think Robertson is the
Mhm.
priority. Yes.
Yeah, actually, and also the train is missed, I guess. So, right.
Mm.
The train,
I mean, I
there
think
is still,
still there, but again, you have Van
yeah,
Dijk, so I don't
yeah,
think.
yeah,
I mean, when you wildcard, you are probably going to try target
yeah,
both Robo and Trent,
yeah,
anyways. So in 34, so yeah,
yeah,
definitely Cancelo and Reese over Robertson for your chip strategy
yeah,
situation specifically. Okay, let's talk about your
yeah.
team, Wrangler. So you and I have similar teams, of course. We have
Almost,
similar
yeah.
problems. Our chip strategy is slightly different because I missed my bench boost in 28. So I have my bench boost in hand. So I am thinking of bench boosting potentially in 33. So that's why my transfer decisions are slightly different from you, not massively different, slightly different, because I would need two playing goalkeepers in 33. You don't necessarily care about that. Either you play Dubravka, or if Ramsdale gets well, you play either one of them. But I have to make sure that I have two playing goalkeepers in 33, and that's probably the only diversion that we have in transfer decision this week, at least, right? Maybe in 32 and 33 will go slightly different, but at least for this week, that's only our confusion between the two of us. So let's first talk about, since we're talking about Trent, are you thinking about getting rid of Trent at all? Is that crossing
Yeah,
you?
so I was talking to you, right? I mean, I am thinking because of the upside of the Reese James, right?
Hmm.
Um, but the thing is, I, I kind of, I cannot think of, I mean, I mean, my team without him from 34 because they are playing 34 Everton, and I think it's Newcastle after that. It's a good game. I mean, good run of fixtures. So I
Yep.
need to bring him back again in 34. And in 34, I also want player like Mount or especially Foden. So that's
Hmm.
where I need to like few transferred there, and I need to release some fund like from Broha or other whatnot, or probably even
Yeah.
Weghorst if I get him. So in that case, I will like need like couple of hits there, right? At least -8. So I'm not sure whether it's worthy because here
Yeah.
if I get raise gems, I have to again have -4 here, right? Because I'm already like planning to get Cancelo and Weghorst, right?
Yeah,
Unless I
basically, if we are getting rid of Trent, it's almost going without him for the rest of the season, unless until we free hit in 36 or whatever, right? That's the only time maybe we get him back in. Otherwise, as you said, it's will be tough. Not because of the value, it's more because of the team structure, kind of restructuring the team, right, to get
yes,
that
and also
value back.
EO there, right? Trends EO
Yeah,
will be very high as you, I mean,
yeah.
definitely, right? So,
Yeah, I was at least earlier this morning, I was kind of thinking about that, but after talking to you guys and after kind of rethinking this, I think I'll just stick with Trent. And sounds like he's okay for 32, so he'll likely miss Watford. He still might play, who knows? So we'll know before the deadline. But he's back for 32. If he was not back for 32 and maybe 33, then I would think of it. But since he's back in 32, I don't see a point of transferring him out. Just keep him, play him, or if you need to bench him, bench him. But I don't say, at least for our situation, since we don't
yeah,
have our wild card in hand, right?
exactly.
In ZD's situation, he can think of it because of the wild card in 34. He can get him back right away, even with losing a little bit value. That's okay. But for us, it's going to be very difficult to get him back. And again, not because of value. I mentioned this in Twitter also. It's not about losing the value, it's about losing the free transfers back and forth, right? You are removing him and then getting him back, so essentially two free transfers. So but anyways, yeah, so that's basically where we are.
Do you
Anything that
think
you?
like if I don't go to Weghorst, like if I go
Mhm.
to like any fodder and get Cancelo and James with a -4, how does that sound? It's just like I will not have Weghorst there, but then I will have,
It's okay, so you would go to like a Jimenez to a Geltard or a Cucho, something like
yeah,
that, right? And then
and then I'll
um
probably release Tierney, uh,
okay, so
and
Tierney plus size, you can go to Cancelo and size.
yes, Cancelo and
So
James.
Cancelo and Reese, I mean, yeah. um Not a bad move, I think, at least for you. Again, the
It
reason that we're
supports my
slightly
team to be
different.
well for future. By the way, it's just I don't have
Yeah,
Weghorst. That's it. So,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, of course, in 33 and 31, you're losing two fixtures, but that's it. It's Weghorst two fixtures, right? So it's you're not losing a lot, anyways. I don't dislike that. Yeah, I mean that's something that you can definitely consider. Again, the situation for me is slightly different because I
yeah,
plan to bench boost in 33. For your case,
yeah.
you can definitely go to a fodder. Um, yeah, I don't see anything bad with that. The only thing that I would be wary of again is the Reese minutes, right? James Reese's
Yeah.
minutes. If we'll have to, I think Tuchel's press conference is tomorrow, or basically today. In UK, it's today, so we'll have to look out for the press conferences from Tuchel, from Klopp, from Pep, see what the teams are looking like, and then make the decision based on that. Z, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think as Ragnar already played bench boost, it would be better to have a bench folder probably to focus in the main 11. I don't know if it is in this week or like
Yeah,
next game week, but I think that will benefit you in the long run if you have a folder.
Mhm.
I agree.
I mean, if I go with Weghorst, then like I have to do this from 34, right? After like Weghorst two fixtures, two double game if fixture goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Again
Is
in
yeah,
30,
it's basically the decision for you is whether you want to do that before 33 or after 33. That's basically the decision.
yeah.
But if you think, I think Burnley will have all the double game weeks before 36, right? So probably taking Uyghurs now and monitor James just for one game week,
Mhm.
probably, and then move to him like in 32 probably.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think that
Weghorst,
could
as I
be
was saying, Wrangler, you before also, right? It's not a fun transfer, but it just makes sense because of
It's more
other reasons,
sensible.
because
Yeah.
of the number of fixtures. It's just a more straightforward decision, right?
Mhm.
None of the other decisions like the Reese or like keeping Trent or not keeping Trent, those are not straightforward decisions, right? They could go very wrong, right? Either way. Weghorst Jimenez to Weghorst is that kind of decision. It cannot get any worse, essentially, right? And I was seeing that Jimenez actually misses 32 also,
yeah,
so
yeah.
he
He
doesn't.
will miss two games.
So yeah, he's essentially missing 31 to 33. So he doesn't have any game in
33
the
as well.
next three
Yeah.
game weeks. So zero game versus five game. So you have the winner there, right? So that's the only reason. Otherwise, I would probably suggest you to go there. But as I agree with ZD that maybe monitor the other
Mhm.
situations a little more and then decide on it. In 32, you still have the options. You are only missing one game. I know I understand the FOMO, but you can still get a very decent team out even with getting Weghorst, right?
Mhm.
So mm, yeah, I
Yeah, I think
agree
I'm
with
gonna
ZD.
just do this transfer. Maybe like no hit. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always difficult after coming back from the international break, right? So to see like the players who were in momentum, they will be in the same momentum, right? So
Man, for
all of
for
those things.
for Reece James, it doesn't matter really. He plays
He
Yeah,
one
it
game,
always
does.
comes back
18
and
points,
hits.
and then gone. So
Yeah, he plays better like when he comes back, and then probably 5 games, game week 7 or 8 points.
All right. I think we are at the end of the discussion, guys. We wanted to finish this below 1 hour. We went a few minutes over, but that's okay. We were talking about our teams, and that's the most important thing, at least for us ourselves. Good discussion. Anything else you guys want to add before we end this?
no, I think we covered almost whatever we wanted. So yep, good luck with you guys. I mean,
Yeah. So deadline is on Saturday morning. So hopefully I don't sleep through my transfer deadline again. I'll try to probably make at least couple of transfers before the price changes tomorrow.
yeah.
We'll keep an eye open for the price changes. But yeah, other than that, best of luck for Game Week 31 and beyond. I think there are no international breaks for the rest of the season, so we'll meet you guys every week pretty much from now on. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, ZD.
Right.
Thank you, Wrangler,
Thank you.
for talking to me
Yep.
today.
Thanks.
We'll
Bye.
meet you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.